Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. Are you as fully organized as you could be? I think probably not. There's a lot of people out there who really need the help of someone who can get them organized, whether it's their room, their home, etc. So here to talk about what she does to help people with that is my friend Carol Rosen with the Season Organizer, the owner of Season Organizer. Carol, welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Bryan, for having me. I'm delighted to be with you.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. We've talked about doing something like this before because it's so important because people get stuck in their spaces and they need some help. What is a professional organizer?
A professional organizer is someone who is trained and experienced in helping people declutter and organize their homes or their offices. And we teach them the maintenance systems so that they can not just stay organized, but they can tweak and change the organizing system as their seasons in life change.
Well, I think that's the key is anyone can come in and help someone get organized for now, but it's keeping it that way. And
Yes.
that's where you come in to help. How did you get into this line of work?
Well, prior to organizing, my career revolved around administration and hospitality. So I'm really good at creating efficient work systems. I'm a very good listener, and I derive immense joy in serving others. And in the year 2000, all of that came together when my friend Renee asked me to help her organize her 5-drawer vertical filing cabinet. It was bursting with papers. And she said, Carol, I don't even like going into that office because of that file cabinet. I don't know what to do with it. So I took on the challenge and I found that I actually enjoyed sifting those papers through my fingers and finding common threads or themes between the pages and creating categories that would keep her papers in an easy to use system. By day 3, we had pared down that filing cabinet to just 2 drawers
Wow.
of file folders with labels that made sense to her. And she was so thrilled with the results that she continued organizing the rest of her home by herself.
Holy cow.
And she'd call me after every room, Carol, I finished the pantry. I did my closet. I did the linen closet. I have so much more space. I love the way that it looks. It feels so freeing. And I was really impressed with how having an organized home and being able to do it for herself really infused her with this verve and this clarity for not just her home, but for her life. And she is the one who encouraged me to start my business. She said, Carol, what you have changed my relationship with that office, and people will pay money for you to do for them what you just did for me. And so I started organizing as a side hustle. And then in 2018, I took a huge leap of faith. I quit my day job and I took my side hustle full time.
That's amazing. So, I mean, you had a lot of stuff there that you just said. One thing that stood out for me is how she said that you helped change her relationship with the office. So, people often get uncomfortable with their spaces because the brain can't handle the clutter, but you change that relationship. Now, some people out there who are watching this may say, well, I can do that myself. I know it's gotten away from me, but I don't need a professional. But why does someone really need a professional?
Well, maybe they can do it themselves, but will they? Decluttering and organizing session, it takes a lot of time, preparation, energy, stamina. And for most people, just looking at a cluttered space feels so overwhelming, let alone knowing where do I start, how do I make the keep or release decisions, and it stops right there. So, what usually happens is a person will start to clear out, say, their garage. So you take down a box and you open it up and you pull out the first item and look at it and remember, where did this come from? Why am I keeping it? I don't know. Let's set it down and go to the next item.
Yeah. No decisions made. It's
Right.
just there still.
Yeah, so an hour later, the box is empty, but the table's now full. and the person is just so stressed of, oh my gosh, what have I done? I need a snack. So they
Right.
so they go get a snack, and there's very little incentive to go back to the garage and finish the job.
Yeah.
So a professional can do the whole thing for you, or I can work side by side with you and ensure that you don't get stuck and the job gets done.
Right. So you're not giving them a fish, you're teaching them how to fish.
Yes.
So let's do a deeper dive as far as how it works with your clients.
Well, sure. The two ways that I work with clients are either side by side, where they roll up their sleeves and we do the entire start to finish process together, or I have the done for you service, where I do all of the work and you just come in to make keep or release decisions. I work with folks, a lot of times they're not even home. So they're at their own office, they're on vacation. And so to make those keep or release decisions, we're on the phone, we're doing text pictures, or we're doing FaceTime, because the client is the one who makes those keep or release decisions. And so either way, whether it's side by side or done for you, the first thing we're going to do is define your vision for your space. How do you want to use that space? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to look like? And if you're not sure, I will help you gain clarity by getting specific about what does work here and what doesn't work, and what can we change to make this space serve you and your life. 90% of my clients that initially ask for side by side, after one day, they opt for done for you.
Yeah.
Because it is really physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding work.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right, we're going to talk about some practical ways people can get started.
May I share?
Yeah.
May I share the 3 ways that I provide help that's not quite so obvious to a lot of people? The first way is very obvious. It's the most visible way that I help, and it's with the physicality, the muscle that's required for this job. I'm on my feet. I am stretching, bending, squatting, pulling, lifting, moving boxes, heavy bags, furniture for 5 to 7 hours at a stretch. So that's the physicality of it. There's also the brain piece of it. It's having the decluttering and organizing strategies. It's sorting all of your items into categories so you can see how much of any given category that you have. It's knowing the factors that determine what is the best container to use for your pantry versus for your garage.
Yeah.
I'm also being mindful of my client. I want to make sure that you're hydrated. Do you need a break? How long can you make decisions before you start to get brain fatigue?
Yeah.
I'm watching your face. I'm watching your body language as you handle every item. And I can tell whether you're holding on to it because it's something that you truly use, need, or love, or whether you're holding on to it out of emotion. Usually it's guilt, shame, or fear. Because we're dealing with artifacts from the past 20, 60 years of your life. And there are what I call emotional landmines in almost every box. And so my job is, I'm convinced every person knows whether or not you ought to keep this item. But it can be really scary to admit that.
Oh, yeah.
So my job is to be that safe place where you can bring that to the surface and make a decision with confidence so that whether you're keeping or releasing, you feel good about your decision. I was working with a gentleman who we were going through a box of all sorts of stuff, and he picked up this envelope. It was a letter that was addressed to him in female script, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" And I watched his face kind of fade. He slumped a little bit, and he said, "This is a letter from a girl that I met in, I think it was Thailand, Singapore." He traveled a lot in his prime. And he said, "This is a letter from a gal I met. We hit it off really well, and when I returned home, we wrote to each other for months, and then I stopped writing." And she continued to send letters. I didn't respond. This is the last letter that she wrote to me. And I always felt guilty and bad about never writing back or saying goodbye. But that was years ago.
Yeah.
And I hope she had a good life, and I wish her well. And he was looking right at me, and he said, and now I've told you about it, so I can release it. And he dropped it into the trash can, unopened. So having somebody with you,
Yeah.
that is the
coach.
most unseen value
Yeah.
that I provide for people, because I am here to make sure that your job is completed all the way in a timely manner.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's good stuff.